which will be sung by Mr. Curtin Anthony and Miss Binelli St. Cyr.
Sons and daughters
of Saint Lucia, love the land that gave us birth, land of beaches, hills and valleys, fairest isle of all the earth. Wheresoever you may roam, love, oh love, our island roam. Gone the times when nations battled for this Helen of the West. Gone the days when strife and discord dimmed her children's toil and rest. Dawns at last a brighter day, stretches out a glad new way. May the good Lord bless our island, guard her sons from woe and harm. May our people live united, strong in soul and strong in arm. Justice, truth, and charity are ideal forever be.
Kindly be seated. Thank you, Curtin and Binelli. That was a lovely rendition of the St. Lucia National Anthem. Good morning once again, everyone, because I don't feel like the first good morning was vibrant enough for my liking. Good morning, everybody. Okay, that's a little better. It passed a strong wind in this auditorium. For those of you viewing online, I would like to give you a special thank you for tuning in to CDB's Youth for Innovation and Resilience Forum, which is actually a part of a wider set of activities being delivered under its Youth for Innovation and Resilience, or Youth Fire program. Youth Fire is being delivered as part of the bank's annual Board of Governors event, which will run from today, June 13th, to Friday, June 16th, culminating in the Youth Expo in the Constitution Park in Castries. The forum today has been designed based on recommendation from many of CDB's youth stakeholders, some of you in this room right now, and focuses on key issues of importance to youth, including peaceful societies, economic empowerment, innovation, entrepreneurship, and of course, resilience. One of the bank's key partners in the conceptualization of the program of activities is actually the St. Lucia National Youth Council. Chairperson Mrs. Yannicka Jean-Bar Williams will deliver remarks on behalf of the National Youth Council. But before I call on her, I would like to give you a bit of background on Mrs. Williams, because upon reading this and getting prepared for this morning, I was completely pleasantly surprised at the efforts that Mrs. Williams have been putting within the youth space for some time now. Mrs. Williams actually hails from the Dennery Valley, a community located on the eastern end of St. Lucia. Yannicka, a secondary school teacher, and huge props to you, because As some of you may know or may not know, to be a secondary school teacher, you have to have a lot of resilience and patience. She is also the current president of the St. Lucia National Youth Council. And all of this is while she is holding several positions of leadership on many community youth-led organizations. As the leader of a national youth-led organization which advocates on behalf of the youth of our country, Yannicka is pivotal in enacting change in areas of youth development, creativity, which we recently saw in the St. Lucia Jazz and Art Festival that recently passed, and holistic development of our country's youth. She is undoubtedly passionate about youth work and ensures that youth in St. Lucia receives representation and much needed attention to aid them in being contributing agents for our nation's development. Yannicka, who lives by the profound words of Maya Angelou, "Be the change that you would like to see in the world," believes that every opportunity given is a chance to make our society safer and better for generations to come. Mrs. Williams, I now call on you.
Thank you very much, Madam of Ceremonies. Honorable Kenson Casme, Minister of Youth Development and Sports, Mr. Daniel Best, Director of Project Department of the Caribbean Development Bank, Mr. Raphael Saul, Business Consultant, Attorney, and Entrepreneur, Caribbean Development Bank, representatives, regional youth delegates, and youth in the diaspora, a pleasant good morning to you. Greetings to you from the National Executive of the St. Lucia National Youth Council, and by extension, the youth of St. Lucia. Welcome to our home, St. Lucia. It gives me great joy and with an elated spirit as the Caribbean Development Bank is ready to unfold the series of events for the 53rd annual meeting here in St. Lucia. The St. Lucia National Youth Council collaborated with the Caribbean Development Bank for this year's Youth for Innovation and Resilience Youth Fire. It is programs such as these we are grateful for, as it assists in building and strengthening our youth leaders and innovators across the region. The Caribbean Development Bank's pillar of action, which is to empower and support active citizenship and youth participation in democratic and community life. Also, to contribute to the creation of healthy, safe, nurturing, and peaceful communities and spaces for the young people, as stated in the Caribbean Development Bank's Youth Policy and Operational Guidelines. It is opportunities like these youth are able to educate, develop, and express themselves on various aspects of life, which helps foster holistic development. Initiatives like these, young people are motivated and inspired to produce greatness. A country's human resource is important to its country. Therefore, I applaud the Caribbean Development Bank for the initiative and collaboration in creating empowering spaces such as this to enlighten and educate the youth, and most of all, for investing in the region's future. As you, the youth, here and in the diaspora, go through the coming days, I implore you as young people to take in the testimonies, insights, advice, and powerful knowledge that will be shared with you by the most dynamic youth leaders who will serve on the various panels. Do not hold in your burning questions, which truly need to be answered, for fear is the barrier to success and opportunities. I wish you guys all the best, and I know that the future leaders of this region are in good hands by you just here already making that bold step. I thank you.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Williams. And you touched on something that I held on to, investing in the region. Now, generically, when we think about investing, we're thinking about spending money. Am I right? But there are other ways in investing, and CDB has portrayed that immensely. Capacity building, resilience, and strengthening of our youth. That goes a long way in ensuring that they are capable of handling the mantle once we pass it on to them. So thank you once again, Mrs. Williams. Of course, an example of youth leading and acting now for later. I am told that Mrs. Williams and the Student Council of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College actually invested much time and thought to co-create this program with CDB and other development partners. This aligns with CDB's commitment in its youth policy to work with youths as equals and valued development partners, and for that, we thank you. I now welcome CDB's Director for the Projects Department, Mr. Daniel Best, to deliver welcome remarks on behalf of the Caribbean Development Bank. But in my usual fashion, I need to tell you a bit about Mr. Best. In addition, you signed off on it, Mr. Best, so we have to do it. I'm so sorry. I'm just the messenger. In addition to leading the Projects Department at the Caribbean Development Bank, he is accountable for the management, pipeline development, appraisal, and implementation of the bank's lending and technical assistance programs across multiple sectors. Mr. Best, just quickly, do you sleep? You have 2 extra hours of the day that none of us have. We need to find out where you're getting those 2 extra hours from, because this is a hefty portfolio right here, ladies and gentlemen. Since becoming director back in 2015, Daniel has been credited for consistently leading his team to deliver strong results, significantly contributing to the bank's achievement of its critical targets. Before being promoted to his current position, Daniel held various leadership roles within the projects department, through which he led teams to achieve impact through infrastructure development across the Caribbean region. Mr. Best is actually a civil engineer with a Master of Business Administration from the University of Durham and a project management professional with over 24 years of experience. That's almost as old as I am, Mr. Best. Away from the office, Daniel has become a central figure in Barbados' performing arts scene, appearing in a number of stage, television, and movie productions. He is red with embarrassment right now, ladies and gentlemen. But we do have something in common, because in grade 3, I did a skit, Henry and Eliza. There's a hole in the bucket there, Eliza. So we have that in common, 2 professionals in the creative industry. So once again, I now officially introduce you to Mr. Daniel Best.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairperson. And in keeping with your singing, I plan to do my speech as an interpretive dance, if that's okay. I'm kidding, you know, Camille is freaking out. So, Honorable Minister Joel Casimir, Minister of Youth Development and Sports, the Government of St. Lucia, Mrs. Yannicka, I hope I didn't do violence to your name, Yannicka Jean-Bart Williams, Chairperson, St. Lucia National Youth Council, representatives of the government of St. Lucia and development partner agencies, young people with us here this morning, and of course, joining online, fellow Caribankers, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, my brother, Raphael, good morning. Thank you to our amazing young contributors thus far. You are examples of youth excellence. And of course, this is just a glimpse of what we will see over the course of the contributors. Of course, this is just a glimpse of what we will see over the course of the Caribbean Development Bank's Youth for Innovation and Resilience, or Youth Fire program, which will unfold over the next 4 days. I am excited about the entire program. This program includes today's Youth Fire Forum, the launch of the bank's Future Leaders Network this morning, and the inaugural meeting of the first cohort this week. I'm sure I saw some of the Future Leaders Network in the restaurant at Bear Garden last night. Were you there? What happens on mission stays on mission. I won't say what you did. Great to see you. And of course, the Youth Fire Expo that will be held in Constitution Park this Friday, June the 16th, and will showcase the work of youth innovators and entrepreneurs across St. Lucia. It is really my pleasure to welcome you all to day one of Youth Fire and the opening of this forum. Today and throughout the week, we will engage with and be engaged by our young people who are serving as participants, panelists, moderators, presenters, innovators, entrepreneurs, and critically, as agents and advocates for positive change. You remind us that you are not just the future, you are the now. For this reason, I am, to use the acronym, I am fired up at the opportunity to meet and learn from all of you in this room and online, including the bank's Future Leaders Network members and advisors who you will meet during the course of this opening ceremony. We do know that while many young people excel, far too many continue to face uncertainty. Some of you will know that CDB started operations in 1970 to contribute to the harmonious economic growth and development of member countries in the Caribbean. In keeping with the changing times and still aligned with that purpose, CDB's updated strategic plan 2022 to 2024 focuses on the repositioning that is essential for the bank and across the region in the pursuit of excellence. However, we know that we will not achieve our key development goals if our young people are marginalized and excluded. Consequently, the bank's investments and strategies, as well as our partnerships, continue to evolve to build and enhance the capabilities of our young men and women across the region. There is much discussion around and evidence of youth unemployment and underemployment, pension imbalances, violence, and widening inequality. While these challenges may continue to confront us at CDB, we believe solutions can be found if we work more closely and collaboratively with our young people who are ready and able to contribute. Across the bank's programming and through the work informed by our 2020 youth policy and operational strategy, we have increased our youth engagement and our focus on ensuring that all investments in areas including education and training, citizen security, and agriculture, among others, recognize, utilize, and support the building of young people's capacity. CDB remains committed to facilitating this by creating seats at the table for the youth. But we also know that more can be done by all our partners. CDB President, Dr. Jean Leon, who unfortunately could not be with us here today, constantly reminds us that across history, no human right, no fundamental change in our societies has ever been granted graciously. Therefore, in these trying times, for us as small island developing states, we must take the future into our hands. And while examples abound of what has been done elsewhere, we must be bold and augment or even refashion these solutions to fit our reality, the Caribbean's reality. You, our young people, have the ingenuity and creativity for this mission, for such a time as this. We are all well aware that interventions must be supported by adequate and appropriate resources, which aren't necessarily readily available. So bringing this discussion to the theme of the 2023 meetings, we need to mobilize. mobilize bodies, mobilize thought, and mobilize resources. Indeed, the insights our young people will share today will therefore inform the direction of our investments in the areas that we will discuss. The projects department, which I have the pleasure of leading, and the entire Caribbean Development Bank stands ready to support you. It would be remiss of me standing here not to thank a number of key partners who supported the conceptualization and planning of this week's activities, or those who will be part of the delivery of key aspects of Youth Fire. These include the Innovation Division in the Department of Education, Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, the Youth Economy Agency, the St. Lucia National Youth Council, the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College Student Council, and many, many more. I look forward to rich presentations, the sharing of experiences and expertise from accomplished young people, and to solution-oriented discussions. Our region needs you now. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Best. And of course, we have to laud CDB's commitment to youth engagement and bolstering support to youth development. It takes a village, but in this case, it takes an organization with an international reach and a passion in assisting youth to develop our countries and by extension our region. I now invite Minister of Youth Development and Sports, the Honorable Kenson Casimir, to deliver remarks on behalf of the government of St. Lucia. You know I have to do it, right? I have to tell you a little bit about Mr. Casimir. Kenson Bebe Casimir, a native of Marie-Therese Street in Gros-Islet, has long embodied the spirit and fortitude in his passion for youth development and sports. His early enthusiasm for service paved a path for community involvement. So, in 1996, Kenson initiated the efforts of his passion by becoming a certified peer helper in the Big Brother, Big Sister mentorship program in Gros-Islet. Clearly, a lot more sports inclined than I have ever been, Kenson was outstanding in volleyball, track and field, and cricket. What time did you find to study? Because you were always on a playing field, Minister. At the tender age of just 11, Minister Casimir represented Gros-Islet in the National Under-19 tournament. So it was no surprise that at the age of 17, Kenson Casimir was named St. Lucia's Junior Athlete of the Year. He continued his advocacy in the community as a social transformation officer and later on youth and sports officer. In addition to his community service, Kenson also worked as a sportscaster and host for the most popular sports show on NBC, The Warm-Up. After attaining a scholarship to attend Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, your alumni, where he excelled and served as student council president, Minister Casimir pursued a bachelor's degree in business management with honors from Grambling State University and a master's degree in mass communication from the University of Texas. And this is in addition to receiving several certification programs in India. Kenson returned to St. Lucia as a good and moral citizen to give back, and he became, what did he become? Can you guess what this man became? Any guesses? No? This gentleman right here became a teacher at the Gros-Islet infant and primary schools. He later went on to become a lecturer at the University of the West Indies St. Lucia campus. His continued passion for community development evolved as he touched the lives of many as he continues to serve many underrepresented sectors, groups, and individuals in the Grosley district. The connection he has maintained with every race, age, class, creed, and gender in the community places him in a unique position to understand the plight of the people and advocate for a better life for all. Honorable Kenson Casimir currently serves as the Minister for Youth Development and Sports in St. Lucia. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers at home, Honorable Kenson Casimir.
Thank you, Mistress of Ceremony. To hear my name, my middle name, and my nickname included here says that you did a lot of research. And I want to thank you for your generous introduction. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with pleasure that I greet you today on behalf of the people and the government of St. Lucia, and to speak to you briefly on youth innovation and inclusive economic empowerment. This is because the government of St. Lucia, under the guidance of Philip J. Pierre, have taken the lead in the region in what we term youth innovation and inclusive economic empowerment for young people. It is because this government of St. Lucia has instituted the Youth Economy Agency. This government of St. Lucia has found it fitting to have a ministry of the youth economy, a novel idea that says to young people that we believe in you, a novel idea that says to people, to young people from Vieux-Fort to Grosley, that your ideas can change the landscape of St. Lucia. And so the Youth Economy Agency is set apart so that young people can turn their hobbies into innovative ideas that can breed sustainable development for our country, to take their talents and turn it into entrepreneurship. The Youth Economy Agency in St. Lucia is what's expected to deal with every fabric of our community, every social ill within our inner communities. And of course, with this idea, we've seen over 200 applicants in less than 6 months of the establishment of this agency. It says to us that young people, were ready and waiting. They were beaming with fire. They were young people in their loins that wanted to be productive towards the economic development of their country. And so, with all these applications, we've had to understand that we have to deliver as a country. And so, the youth economy has forced young people to look within, forced young people to develop their ideas in a way that leads to sustainable business. And in business, there's one concept that I always speak to young people about, the concept of a USP, a unique selling proposition, because this is what sets your business apart from others. What can you as a young person deliver to your community, to your country, that perhaps nobody else has thought of? And so with the youth economy, we have persons who are digging deeper within. We have persons from the blocks who are seated there thinking, what talent, what capability do I have to contribute to my localis rather than sit on a block? This is the power of youth investment. And so I always say to young people, in the constituency of Grosley, we have over 25 barbershops. 25 barbershops, each sometimes with 2 or 3 barbers. I say to young people, what as a barber can set you apart from these individuals? that you can get sustained financing to change your entire family. And I always give this example of this one barbershop in Montgiro, so they're getting a little plug today, that this is the only barbershop in the entire constituency that you can sit on the chair and there are TVs all around with advertising bays. So when you sit, you're not just staring in a mirror, you're seeing flash through a Blue Waters advertisement, so immediately you feel thirsty. You see a KFC advertisement, so immediately after you're like, okay, I'm going to stop at KFC. Immediately, right there at this barbershop. This is innovation. This is the only barbershop in this region where you can tilt back as a young man and get a nice scalp massage. And I can tell you, when I have the time, this is the barbershop I go to. So it's about digging deep. You may have an idea and you may say so many people are doing it. But if you dig just a little more, you will find some aspect that can make your business unique. And so this is what this government is asking you. Dig deep. Think about it. The Honorable Philip J. Pierre is a prime minister that believes that if you find a job you love, you never work a day in your life. And this is what we are saying to young people. Find something that you love doing. I remember being, I would say, forced to love mathematics. I was a reader. Communications was what I loved. But I had to do mathematics. And we are not saying to young people, don't do what you need to do to pass your exams. But look further and find what you love. It is because when you find what you love and you develop what you love, you become a holistic, very holistic citizen. You become a productive individual. This, my brothers and sisters, we believe is the secret to dealing with crime, is the secret to dealing with most of the ills we find. And so, as a government, we expect that we will see the eventual benefits of this youth economy agency. We believe in young people. We know that in CARICOM, 60% of the population are considered young, youth, vibrant. And we as a government, we've decided that we are going to them. So as the Minister of Youth, we've also said we're going to semi-professionalize football. So persons that are into photography, videography, physiotherapy, psychology can come towards the playing fields and find sustainable employment. Business is the way to go. Innovation is the way to go. So I encourage every one of you to enjoy this activity, to listen, interact, meet new friends, because when you do this, St. Lucia, the region, and the world will be a better place. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister, for that heartwarming speech. Who knew that the solution to a lot of our ailments in the Caribbean was just being passionate and be a tedious individual in pursuing your passions and doing it the right way, doing it the hard way. So thank you once again for that ever eloquent presentation. Now, I feel like I need to take off my heels to present this next person on the agenda. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Energy King, the ever-powerful orator, Mr. Raphael Saul. And he will be delivering the feature address with a difference. We are at a youth fire after all, so he is bringing an Ignite talk. But of course, I have to tell you a little bit about Raphael. Nothing too embarrassing, Raphael. I hear Mr. Best grumbling in the front. He hasn't gotten over that bio. Mr. Raphael Saul is a 34-year-old business consultant, motivational speaker, corporate trainer, attorney with a passion for helping people achieve their full potential and helping businesses exceed their target. Born in beautiful Barbados, Raphael has always been a natural communicator and advocate, which led him to pursue a Bachelor's of Law degree, which he successfully completed with honors in 2009. After serving a number of years as a legal counsel, Raphael began speaking and consulting for companies in the financial services, insurance, and hospitality industries. With a global perspective, Raphael has led enterprise change management and integration projects, including program design and implementation throughout several organizations. Over the past 5 years, Raphael has become a sought-after speaker across the Caribbean, sharing the stage with international media personality Steve Harvey and working with several conglomerates to train teams in Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Jamaica, Belize, and Trinidad and Tobago. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just a side note, right? I had a little discussion with Mr. Saul and I asked him what he was doing in Belize and if he enjoyed himself. And I had to do this background and investigation because I'd a born Belizean. So I had to ensure that he went there with positivity and good vibes, and most of all, that he enjoyed himself. And he did all of the above. So Mr. Saul, thank you for doing yourself and your career justice in my beautiful home country of Belize. In June 2022, Raphael was a featured speaker at the financial service professionals from around the world. Raphael is presently on consultancy with the government of Barbados as Assistant Director of the National Transformation Initiative. His favorite quote is from Nelson Mandela: "It always seems impossible until it gets done." Ladies and gentlemen, Raphael Saul.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's try that one more time. Perhaps we can increase the energy level in this room just a notch. Good morning. Good morning. Let me start this the correct way. I'm honored, of course, to greet the Minister of Youth Development and Sports, the Honorable Kenson Casimir. I caught that just before I came on stage. I'm also, of course, honored to greet the most times Honorable Mr. Daniel Best, the Director of Special Projects at the Caribbean Development Bank and my good friend. Representatives of the Caribbean Development Bank, our development partners, youth leaders, the real MVPs of these proceedings, fellow development enthusiasts from across the region, those who are watching online. This is an exciting time for all of us. I must, of course, also greet Mrs. Williams, the head of the St. Lucia Youth Council. It was a pleasure hearing you earlier, ma'am. Courage. The strength and willingness to do that which causes us fear. The things which cause us anxiety and the things which trigger in us a feeling of apprehension. Courage is the thing that empowers us to lean into what appears difficult and outside our current realm of possibility and capacity. It is courage that motivates us to drive through our challenges, to keep moving forward despite what can seem like insurmountable obstacles. It is courage. Courage is the thing that triggers in our minds images of heroism. Policewoman marching into a dangerous situation to apprehend the perpetrator of a serious crime. A fireman charging into a building that is raging in inferno in order to rescue a family from potential loss of life. Courage. In a recent article in the Harvard Business Review, courage was described as a concrete determining factor of business and organizational success, and courageous leadership was identified as a unique strategic and competitive advantage. Courage makes a big difference. And it is the thing that we lean into when we estimate that our current circumstances exceed what we perceive to be our level of capacity and certainly our level of present comfort. Courage. In many ways, fear grips us to the point where we are immobile. We're paralyzed almost, unable to perform at our best, unable to give our best ideas, unable to contribute in the way that ultimately we would like to because of our reservations, because of our hesitations, because of our misconceptions. And the way that we tackle that is quite simply through courage. It takes courage for a company, a consumer electronics one, to make a decision to tell the world, your mobile phones no longer need headphone slots. Years later, some of us are looking back and wondering why phones even had headphone slots in the first place. But courage isn't something that's unfamiliar to us as a people. It took courage for our ancestors to brave the perils of the Middle Passage. Labor under the tyranny of the plantocracy, yet never allowing the whips that sought to break their backs to break their spirits. And so today, traces of their resilience continue in our food, in our language, in our dress, in our flair and style, even for some of us in the way we laugh and carry on. A symbol of our heritage. It took courage for Sir Errol Walton Barrow in Barbados to stand before the entire world and declare that we will be friends of all and satellites of none. A statement which confirmed his belief in our agency, but also a deep conviction that we as a Caribbean people have the intelligence and collective capacity to chart our own destiny. It took courage for Sir Alexander Bustamante in Jamaica in 1962. It took courage for Eric Gary in Grenada in 1974. It took courage for Milton Cato in St. Vincent in 1979. And it certainly took courage for Sir John Compton in the Helen of the West Indies to lead this beautiful island to independence in 1979. So we stand, therefore, on a very rich and strong heritage of courage. And if ever we needed it, ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that we need that courage today. We are facing challenges that our ancestors never even contemplated. On the heels of a global pandemic that threatened to destabilize everything we'd worked to build over the last 50 years, now we are faced with the ravages of a global climate crisis. A situation not of our making and to which we made no contribution, but of which we are the victims. And now will we have the courage to make the kinds of decisions that are required to improve our level of economic and physical resiliency, to ensure that regardless of what the climate crisis might bring to us, we face it with the requisite level of preparedness and intent. It will take courage. When our financial system harkens back to the Industrial Revolution and the days of factories, and now needs to be dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century in a manner that aligns with the realities of our current small and medium enterprises, it is still too difficult for our upcoming businesses to access capital in a way that is affordable, that facilitates innovation and growth and scaling of our enterprises, that allows entrepreneurs to make the types of contributions that drive the development of our region forward. It will take courage. It takes courageous leadership on the part of our political forces, our policymakers, our regional development partners, to make decisions that drive our development forward, even where some of those decisions are met with political disfavor. It takes courage to potentially compromise political capital in the interest of regional development. It takes courage to create a legal and regulatory framework that makes sense of the world we currently live in and is an empowering and enabling environment rather than a disabling and invalidating one. It takes courage to make those kinds of policy decisions that are required to create the infrastructure our region needs to grow and develop. The Greeks had two very interesting ways of looking at time. One of them was a quantitative measure. The other one was qualitative. The quantitative measure of time, according to the Greeks, was the word chronos, from which we derive our English word, y'all sharp, chronology. Sequential passing of time, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week. But the Greeks also recognized that beyond chronological time, sometimes there are opportune moments in time. For that, they use the word kairos. It is a word that finds its origin in the Greek practice of archery. Picture in your mind an archer drawing that bow back, waiting for the opportune time to release it in order that it hits its target. That kairos moment. A unique or opportune open window where the releasing of the arrow creates the greatest probability of success. Might I suggest to you, future leaders, that this is a kairos moment. As you gather together over these next few days with your colleagues from across the region, as you share your ideas courageously, as you plan and collaborate courageously, as you dream and imagine courageously, it is in so doing that you create the opportunity for that arrow to be released in a manner that catapults our region into the stratosphere, and it's possible if you're willing to be courageous. To believe in that thing that burns inside you, that fire. It is why Dr. Howard Thurman says, ask not what the world needs. Instead, ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. So what sets you on fire? What ignites those passions deep in your heart that will push and drive you to do things that might seem to others as unreasonable, as unnecessary, but which you know are required in order to create the future for this region that we don't want, the future for this region that we absolutely need. And the power to do that, I want to respectfully submit, is in the hands of those of you in this room and those who are joining online across the region, those with a heart to see our future charting a course that realizes its full potential for all of us as Caribbean people and as Caribbean nations. We will not live our lives as victims. We will not find ourselves in 2030 and in 2040 and in 2050 making our cry only if we had done, only if we had decided, only if we had rallied the support of our troops across the region, only if we had been bold and courageous enough to do the thing that was in our heart to do. We'd have greater food and agricultural security. We'd have a better plan around our regional energy. We'd have ideas for innovation and creativity that are taking this region forward. And it requires your intelligence. It requires your innovation. It requires your creativity. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, it requires your courage. Thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful forum.
Engaging, energetic, and inspiring. courageous. You see? Thank you, Minister. And thank you, Raphael, for delivering a powerful message on passion and a call to action. Now, recognizing that engaging, like we just did, and co-creating development responses with young people is the right thing to do and is essential for meeting development imperatives, CDB has established an institutional mechanism for youth engagement and empowerment and to promote youth mainstreaming in the bank's operation. In 2022, Mr. Best launched the call for applicants to the bank's Future Leaders Network. Today, he is here to witness its launch. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers online, we are joined today and in person and online, of course, by 18 CDB Future Leaders Network members. 17 of its 19 borrowing member countries are represented, as well as the Caribbean Regional Youth Council, which holds a seat on the FLN. The network is also supported by 2 advisors, and I think I see one here today. Both of them are here today. Okay. All right, good. These are young people who have distinguished themselves in their respective fields of endeavors. They are a subset of young people who are developing solutions, disrupting with purpose, and driving change across the region. The FLN is a strategic network of creative, innovative, and highly engaged youth with diverse experiences, expertise, perspectives, knowledge, and demonstrated interest in CDB's areas of work, which includes gender, private sector development, energy, environment, economic infrastructure, legal, economic development, and youth development. The FLN is an institutional mechanism for regular dialogue between CDB and youth leaders on key development issues. Over a 2-year period, the members will perform a quadruple role. 1, as advisors to CDB on youth-targeted investments. 2, as advocates for positive youth development outcomes. 3, the development of strategic solutions to at least one development challenge. And 4, supporting conceptualization and coordination of in-country consultations with youth and the bank's annual Youth for Innovation and Resilience, or Youth Fire Forum. This simply means that the inaugural cohort over the next 2 years will plan and prepare in a slew of categories in addition to planning the next Youth Fire Forum. The FLN members and advisors will be key resource persons today and will take part in 2 days of personal and professional development and capacity building relevant to their roles and responsibilities. These include design thinking and ethics in development planning and starting the process of working to identify innovative solutions to support youth economic empowerment. The members and advisors of the Caribbean Development Bank's Future Leaders Network 2023 to 2025 are, and your attention will be brought to the screen as I call their names and their respective countries. Adeline Pierre, Haiti. This is a lovely picture, Adeline. Asha Gay Cowell, Jamaica. Bevan Charles, Grenada. Shimora McNee, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. David Henry, St. Lucia. Devon Carter, Anguilla. Esquire Henry, Antigua and Barbuda. Ferdinand Valmont, Dominica. Jillian Rowe, Barbados. Kendall Vincent, CRYC member. Romello Williams, Turks and Caicos Islands. Leshante Sampson, Bahamas. Rondell Bevon Ned, Guyana. Ruth Gutierrez Corley, Belize. Soraya Debbie Jagro, Suriname. Tiffany Scarrett, Montserrat. Oh, Tiffany is in Rotaract. Very nice. Steve Walters, St. Kitts and Nevis. Tahila Maloney, Trinidad and Tobago. Amilcar Sanatan, advisor. Shaman Joshua Williams, our second advisor. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our first cohort for the FLN. To demonstrate excellence in the arts and a nice little jam session to ease us through, I now invite Ezra Long to give us a cultural and vibrant presentation. Ezra, where you gasa? Ladies and gentlemen, Ezra Long.
Good morning to the youth. Hiya. Alright. How are y'all doing? Lovely. Our Ayanola nation is changing generations, so we need a seamless plan. As the older ones are going, the younger ones must flow into. This we all must understand to ensure our heroes don't disappear as zeros. Let's raise them publicly. Let their contribution guide our further actions. That's what we call their legacy. Yes, the legacy. To protect the legacy. Leaders of this land, understand, you must make a succession plan. There must always be a younger one like me, bubbling with zeal, like I feel I'm ready to take the wheel. Beat the drum, here I come, like a bomb, I'm explosive. The legacy of the mighty Pep. I am young, but I'm strong, and my songs are corrosive, and I know I'll earn your respect. So look at me, I'm the living legacy. What a mighty man, what this land, the Kaisotan, who has made a succession plan. Hey, oh yo yo, you're liking it? Let me now make it formal. My name is Desrel Long, and performing is my thing. I grew up in a household where Kaiso is pure gold and strong, learning lessons from the king. This season you will find me, Dion and Pep behind me, spitting lyrics like a snake. If some nervousness entwines me, please treat me kindly. If I make a few mistakes with his legacy, I respect the legacy. What the mighty Pep as I step into his golden shoe, but I will always be representative of me. Genuinely me, you will see what succession planning can be. Beat the drum, here I come, like a bomb, I'm explosive. The legacy of the mighty Pep. I am young, but I'm strong, and my songs are corrosive. And I know I'll earn your respect. Oh, so look at me. I'm the living legacy. What a mighty man, what this land a Kaiso done, who has made a succession plan. Hey, oh yo yo yo. Yeah. Thank you very much, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest.
How do you expect me to be that? I won't even put myself under embarrassment because I'll get a lot of side eyes. Desra Long, Calypso Monarch, thank you for that energetic performance. And I would like to thank you for joining us for this opening ceremony. And it has been an absolute pleasure in hosting for such a profound initiative. The Caribbean Development Bank must be applauded in its continued efforts in providing our region and the world with development capacity that we can all be proud of for years to come. Once again, I am Ronisha Gentle, and thank you all for coming, and thank you at home for tuning in. At this time, we take a break, and when we return, we jump into a day of dynamic sessions. Thank you, one and all.